Well, hello and welcome back. Today I am going to start gussying up this studio scale TIE fighter. This I've had for quite some time now, a good 5 years or more. She's supposed to be a casting of one of the originals or similar to the originals, where she does have a steel, or I think I have aluminum, but it does have a rod pipe going through the ship. She's all cast resin. So I had to clean up all this and clean up all this to get it to fit right. That's a big hocking piece of casting there. No, I didn't do any windows, just like the filming miniatures. But just like you see these round parts here, that's an actual post that's running inside there that you can see with the bolt going down, and that bolt's holding a thread to accept the threaded bolt for a stand that I was going to have come through the bottom here. But as you can see, these parts here are the actual tube, just like the originals were. And then these are just casted resin that's wrapped around them, and the tube slides through them. And then what happens here, these wings are made out of almost like a resin with fiber in it that gave it strength so these won't warp. So it's got fiber and everything, almost like a fiberglass. Um, and then what you do is you glue the spokes in the hub, each hub in, in spokes on either side are one cast. So all this spoke in this hub is a one cast. And then you glue that onto that fiberglassy kind of piece, but it's really like a resin with fiberglass, like that mesh that they run through it. And so you glue those on the same side. What I did is I drilled a hole through it, got it centered, drilled a hole, and same thing with this, and then ran a bolt, and that got them all lined up nicely. Glued the spokes in the hub on each side, and then you glue these pieces, which they come in extra long, so you actually have to fit them. I did this like the original, where these spokes come all the way out to the end. There is pictures you see where these parts just come through and this stops in this ridge here, but that's not how the filming miniatures were. These spokes actually went out. And as you can see, this one's thinner than this one. I didn't have, especially spokes that are that big. I mean, I did some sanding to try to get them thinner, but there's only so much I could do with not having a tool to be able, or a big belt sander or a big disc sander to get them the same thickness. So I just went with it. But I did have to file and grind this detail here back, because that detail stops right where those meet. There was a lot of, finagling. And then these grills are a separate piece that were big, and you had to cut them to fit in here. And it was fun trying to get these spokes, because some of them were doing like this and like that, to try to get them to meet perfectly at the points they're supposed to. That was fun. Some of them were a little twisted. But then what I did is I drilled a hole all the way through, almost using a flat drill bit that drills flat, the bottom flat. It chews, not only is it not like a point like a normal drill bit. I got a small. It doesn't have a point. It has that flat bottom with a tooth, so you can drill something part way and you have a nice flat bottom. So I drilled part way through the size of the pipe, but then I stopped so far so the pipe would hit and have something to hold against, because we need this to compress. So we need a stop on this side, and then these are actually magnetized, so they actually come off. And in the same way here, this big washer is acting like a compressor. And it also has a lip in the resin there, and it's compressing them two together. So the pipe's hitting the resin on this side as a stop, where I got it at the depth it needed to be. And then on this side, it's the same thing. The hole I drilled out for this washer is a little bigger than the pipe. And then it has an edge of the resin to push against, to pull. And then I just put these magnets, on the washers, glued them on the washers so that this will just snap back on. But inside the tube, you can probably get some type of threaded insert. I just took wood and cut a piece of wood and plugged it in there and glued it in there really good. Epoxied it in there really good. And put a threaded insert in it. That way this bolt has a threaded, piece for it to thread into. And that's basically what we did. She's a cool, have a nice studio scale, no interior, because this is, like I said, like the original. It didn't have anything in there. I know eventually they got like a figure in there just so you can see it if they got the camera up close. And here's the back half. In here, I actually used a piece of this, which they used cool shade, and they used it a lot. Like even the circular grills on the Falcon, they used cool shade on. So I used that in this little area here. These I think are tank parts. But yeah, she's a cool studio scale TIE fighter. And I detailed it all up. Little writing is in there, everything everywhere. But yeah, so she's been built for a while, and what I was going to do with her, that's why you see the long cables coming out, as I was going to put her on her stand. I had a pretty heavy duty stand to put her on, and then have a threaded hollow rod go up and thread into that armature inside. And then the base was going to be Death Star tiles. I have a bunch of little, they're from the Bondi. Someone made a casting, a mold of the Bondi little, like when you buy a Bondi kit, one of these TIE fighters for say. Which these are great kits, the detail on them, but I think these are 1/72. But as you can see in the corner, it comes with one of those little Death Star tiles. Someone made a casting of those, so I was going to have them all around the bottom, so it looks like she's flying over to Death Star. And yeah, hopefully I was going to have the top be able to swivel, if it can hold that weight. But what I'm thinking is to get her up like this, like she's flying, that's a lot of shelf height. So what we're going to make for her is a maintenance gurney. As I got parts printed, this is the mobile ladder, which is not glued together, so parts are just falling off it. That's a mobile ladder. These are ladders that are going to reach up to the walkways that are going to be underneath it. You've seen games, but even I think Battlefront has it where they have maintenance gurney. Here's one of the plate platforms. There's a frame that this gets on, and here's the railing. So it'll have like a, it'll be from behind. So you come up from behind the TIE fighter, and then it has these walkways so you can walk, the pilot can get up inside here. So we're going to do that. And then it has, one sec, I got to go grab the other part. Okay, here's it starting to get mocked up. I'm going to move the TIE fighter because nothing we really have to do to her except for I'm going to make her battery powered because I don't know how I'm going to get this to run anywhere to plug it in, and I want to be able to still have her separate from the maintenance gurney. So I'm probably just going to go in, and I'm not knocking a bunch of things over. I'm just going to go in under here And we'll just fill that hole in and put this wire up here, and we'll put a battery in it, because she's only running 2 LEDs. One for the guns, which is a flasher, so these both flash green, and one for the engine, which, these are fiber optic, so I only needed one light. So that's all it lights back here, is just the guns and the engine. There ain't much to the TIE Fighter. Yeah, the engines back here will glow. But yeah, here is the mock-up of what we got going on. Just to show you, there's the frames. Clean up here because I don't want to lose that drill bit. But here's the frame. This is, it's a great file. This is by the gentleman who I got the Sandcrawler from. Model A3D. I'll put it in the description. Originally, these are supposed to be smaller, so I had to extend these, make these higher, because I think it works for like the Hasbro TIE Fighters at normal scale. So everything's just a little higher. I didn't go wider or anything weird like that. I just went higher because my TIE Fighter the wings are quite big. And here's the actual thing that holds the TIE Fighter up. And it actually spins. You put that on there, and then she sits at the bottom of her, which is where the wire would come down and go that way. I don't know, unless I drilled a hole down here and made a jack in the back here that I could plug her in. But I'm afraid it'll weaken this, because I made the structure on this, the infill density really small, so it had some strength to hold that big heavy kit. Same thing with this part. So I think it's better. And like I said, the TIE Fighter probably run off a 9-volt battery for quite some time with only 2 LEDs drawn from it. And I'll just get those little rechargeable 9 volts that you actually just plug a USB right in the back of the battery. But then you can spin it. So this is the part that'll hold it, and that goes here. And then the TIE Fighter's wings come down like this. And these are kind of coming along the side of the TIE Fighter. So, and then here's the platform and the railing, and it's not, these railings are notched out. These railings here are notched out for the raw, part of the wing that comes out here, and then, so that's neat. Where it's different from this railing. That's a walkway, keep people from falling off. So that's neat that they have that notched out for the TIE Fighter's wings. Yeah, and then but like I said, it gives you different ways to modify or build or add on to this. Each one of them has holes for pegs to add more frame to, so you can glue them. Like here, I glued those together with the pegs, so it gives it some strength. But he has a frame plate that's all 4 of these squares, or you can print just one square, or you can print a double. So you can print a single, a double, or the quad. And if you're going to have a big platform like this, I just did the quad instead of 4 singles or 2 doubles. So that's neat. And then each one of these can hold the smaller stands. But like I said, everything I just made go taller. And I had to do that same thing with the ladders, because since I went taller with this, in order for the ladders to reach, I had to make the ladders taller. I think these I made a little skinnier because they were as wide as one of the squares. Yeah, they had these as wide as one of the squares, but my wings come so far back that I actually had to, and then you have different floor plates. Let me go over that really quick. These, of course, are for, because the squares that hold the railing are wider, so these are definitely for this area. You'll see a floor plate for this. But then he has a floor plate that's one of these frame squares that doesn't have any railing at all, in case you need a middle one. Like if you're building like all the way out here, and you need a middle one that doesn't need railings. And then he has one where it has a railing on one side, a railing on two sides, or a railing on three sides. So if you just wanted a little extension like this, and you needed railings around it. So it gives you multiple options. You can make this platform any configuration you want. That's basically what I'm trying to say. It's almost like the erector set. It's great. But yeah, you just eventually, this setup, I don't need stands here. These two back here and the two in the front are more than efficient. But yeah, you'll eventually just glue these down. And like that. And then I got more of them. Then I'm going to have these this way, because I'm going to have the steps in the back here. So the TIE fighter will be sitting here. Ass end of it will be about there. And then people can walk, and then they can walk off either side. And then this I can just have sitting around. There's wheels that you got to put on this because it's a rolling, movable one. And if someone wants to go work on the front of it, they can, or any other area, they can have that. He has a smaller platform, which has a small platform like this with just 2 steps. That's pretty neat. And then he has another gurney, which I might print as well, which is a long, skinny. It's almost like a scaffold. So it's got a long walkway, but skinny. And then it has just a straight up ladders to get up on that with railings. That's kind of cool too, which I might do back here. But I only have so much shelf space. My shelves are only like this deep. But I was running into a problem because I want these steps. If I would put it on here, the wing will hit. The big pointy part of the wing comes right here. So I'm loving Bamboo slicing software. Let's get all this out of the way so I can spin this around. Bamboo makes it very easy to cut things in the slicer software. So I just took one of these doubles, brought it in on a plate, and then cut it. First, I actually took a floor plate and just cut a row off of here. A row off of here. Now, I could have printed one and cut it, but why not? Why waste all that? I just measured this and then went into the cutting program. I think it was 3 centimeters, and just cut one of those off. Then once I had that dimension, I cut a double, which would be, say, these 2 right here. That's that. So I just cut that there, got rid of that, and then printed this and this. And what I'm going to do is extend this back end, because I don't have enough space for a full square. Because I was thinking about putting a single square right here, and then having the stairs come off of those. Like it would have been about right here. But yeah, if you have table space, you can do all kinds of stuff. He shows his like 3 deep, and then one square is coming off this way, so he has a set of stairs coming down like that, and then the other side of stairs going that way. But like I said, this coolest thing about this kit is you can just configure it any way you want. And obviously you can scale it to whatever you want. I just had to find out how, really I just measured from the ground to the bottom of the ship to get this the right height, and then I just made these match. These match these. Because this is pretty much almost like the frame. But I made it a little so it sits a little higher. I made this a little lower, I think. But these also go inside the framework, so that made it work. But that made it work perfect. But yeah, I think we can epoxy this on just like that. Just to give us one more plating of space. That'll allow these ladders to sit back enough to clear that wing. Because that wing comes way back. and that way I can have steps on the back half. And then what I'll do, since I didn't put any railing pieces on this, we'll put this right here. And then we'll take one of these full ones and put it there. And with all that glued, with this floor being glued down, that's going to give it some strength. And it being epoxied here, that will help this little piece here, this little overhang addition. So that'll give me the floor space that I want. Yep, that's going to be great. And then we'll, like I said, then we'll have ladders coming off like that. This will have the railing. It might make the floor too heavy. Nope, it's staying. So it's going to kind of look like that in the back here. And because I have a single space here, I just made a little railing. Just shrunk them. Just shrunk it this way. Took the railing and now it made these really skinny, or the tube going down around, but that's okay. I can live with that. That way I have not an open spot right here. We can put this guy right there. And that'll be perfect. So that'll continue the railing on. And that's basically it. The other parts I have are just, these are the tires that go on there. The wheels. But it's a very simple kit, but it's a very well designed kit. And I love that it doesn't have to be built a certain way. You can configure it how you want. Okay, what I did is I marked a center here so we can drill a hole. I'm going to use one of these pegs to help hold that, since I don't have anywhere where I can use these because they're not the full square. So we'll drill a hole here and sink a peg into this one, and I think that'll give us a little more added strength. It's about 4.5 millimeters. These holes didn't come out quite right. They probably could have used more support, but they do give you something to get glue in there, and it works. What drill bit do we have? That's too small. I wonder, can I use this? There we go. Careful. I think it's got a heck of a spring. There we go. These drill bits like a little bit of a way to keep them. Once they go, we're good. Let's see if that fits. A little more, tighter the better. Kind of getting off center here. Not liking that. Maybe I better use a regular drill bit here. I can bring it back over to the center because I think I went off a little bit. There we go. So, yeah, that still works. I don't think we have to go too deep. ruin any of the structure of the part. We can get that peg in there. That's the question. Did we go deep enough? Oh, there's garbage. Yeah. Gotta clean the garbage out of it. That's one thing about drilling PLA. It's thermoplastic, so it wants to do whatever it wants to do. There we go. Now it'll just give us a little more structure there. I don't have anything small enough unless I drill little ones for filament. Because you can use just little cuts of filament, which that might be probably a bad idea. I could drill little holes in there for the filament, but I'm going to use JB steel. So I think we'll be fine. Once that hardens, we'll be good. And I think what we're going to do here as far as painting, we're just going to paint these center parts silver and leave this rounded outer ones black. And like I said, I'm going to scuff maybe, I don't know if I use rub and buff or just the silver Tamiya pastels to give them a scrape worn kind of look. The used universe look. I think maybe here I'll do these in some type of metallic. And the same principle like on here, do on these feet. Do the center, almost like it's a hydraulic. And then maybe these outer things are what brings power or whatever. Who knows? Or just guide rails, who knows? But I don't want it too silvery. So that's why I was thinking just doing the centerpiece. I don't know if I'm going to actually even paint this. I think I'll hit it with the silver and just hit it with a flat and leave it alone. Same thing with these. Maybe I'll hit it with a semi-gloss. Once we knock in the silver on it. Nicks and scratches on the floor. Make it a little more of a deeper black. Because a lot of their floors were shiny, at least on the interior, like the Death Star. Get this mixed up really good. Hopefully I have enough, but it's always easier to mix up more instead of having a lot of waste. We're going to epoxy this sucker in first. If I have clamps where I can clamp it right here. I don't know if any of mine will get that wide. They do, but they're really squishing. I don't want it to squish too much. Oh, that works. You see how it's blowing it in there? Alright. I might just have to use tape. Which is fine. Tape will work too. I just want to get that on there. I guess we can start some down in there. Ain't gonna matter if it oozes out and everything anyway, because that's why I went with the black. But it's all gonna be kind of underneath the ship anyways, or the everything anyway. Now, like I have a textured plate. I'm putting all that on the side, on the upside, because the floor plates will cover this. That way, if you do look underneath, you see the nice, almost gives you a steel girder kind of look, especially how it went in the corners and printed like that. So that's kind of a cool effect. So that's what I'm doing there. I think if I just put a little weight, what do I have that has big and weight? I need to get 1, 2, 3 blocks. That'd be great because they have weight. This do a wrap around pulls. Seems to be holding itself to level anyway. It would be nice if I had some type of weights to sit down on there. There we go. Doesn't need much. It's going to get covered with a floor. Just want it to look good on this side here. Looks like we are. Well, let that sit. I don't know how long it's. I forget how long this epoxy takes to dry, and it doesn't tell you. The other, at least I know, is a 5 minute to clear. I thought this was a 5 minute as well. But boy, once it cures, it's strong. Well, here's it just, put together as a test fit. Nothing's glued together except for, the legs on the frames. And the frame is all together. That back piece went together really nice. So that's glued on there. And then I put the single piece here. That way this kind of, once it gets glued down, will give this back piece even more strength since it's a solid piece. A piece that has 3 panels. And then these are the railing pieces that I shrunk down. Which will work fine for me. Like I said, everything this going this way got a little smaller since we shrunk one of these big ones to that, but it'll work. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do now is start painting all these railings. The plates up here, I think I'll probably, I'm going to do like a silver pastels to give them that scratched up look, and then maybe just hit it with a clear coat, and then we'll do the pastels on the rest of the framework. And then I started painting this up, and I'll do the same paint scheme on these little legs. Oh, we got the I did the railings in a galvanized tin. They came out nice. All the railings on these sides that go up on top as well. I just got to get to doing, I want to do silver in these center parts here. So that's what I'm going to start doing, but I just at least wanted to show you how that looks like on the steps. Oh, all right. I got those painted. That works for me. So now it's time to glue these guys down. I'm going to use some epoxy. Um, no, on trucking here. The nice thing about epoxies is I probably won't need a lot. It'll grab this and hold it nice and tight. There we go. And once we do some silver pastels to make that look like it's weathered, it'll be good. Yeah, I think the epoxy is going to give me a much nicer bond, tighter bond, and not be so brittle. So if it does flex, it's not going to super glue. I'm afraid would snap. All right. Let's try it. That might be enough. It don't take a lot of epoxy. Oh, that's the wrong way. What a bit of duh. That's where our steps go. But I think we can. Well, that's drying. We can get some of these railings on. That would be nice. Those I'll just hit with some super glue. Beautiful. It'd be nice to finally have this TIE fighter actually done. I mean, the TIE fighter's done, but something for her to display on instead of just sitting there on her wings. All we have to do to her is get rid of that long wire and put a battery pack inside her. That's really just soldering two wires together. And then we'll putty the hole on the bottom and touch it up with some paint. I'm really glad I remembered I had this galvanized tin. It works. It worked great for this railing. All these railings, because it's not too bright of a, it's not a silver. And I already have these things here bright silver. I think it kind of looks like aged, that metal pipe that they use. And this will set there. These I'll have to wait because I want to print little squares like this for them to fit into. So it gives them a little more something to hold on to. So I'll design little hollow squares around the bottoms of those, like these are. I mean, I could have printed them standing up. That way I didn't have that big build plate. Ripply, since I have a textured build plate. I need to get a smooth one for these type of things, but I could have printed them like this, but then I got to deal with all the supports under here. Just not worth it. All right, now we'll let all that cure. Okay, we're gonna put this mobile stand together. Oh, please forgive the bamboo printers doing a vibrating test. So we gotta open up these holes here. They closed up pretty good. There's just probably some support structures that are still in there. And hopefully that'll fit. I think what they're probably saying is you put some filament as a axle. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab a little silver. Cut a little bit of silver off here. Maybe a little more than that. Now, hopefully, yeah. I guess I'm gonna start epoxy. I'm gonna use epoxy. This is gonna get handled. Super glue, I think, will be way too brittle. I did my first resin print with clear parts, and it came out great. Very happy. Like I can start designing windows if I need to. We lose a part. All right, that's the skinny end that goes up in there. Right, yeah. So this is gonna be this side. Then here, going to be the combination of this axle we're going to have to stick that through. There, that's actually perfect. We got to get some resin in there. Epoxy. Beautiful. Probably should clamp that for a moment. Know what'll work really good is these cheap dollar. Yes, we know you're done. These cheap dollar store clamps are great for little small things like this. I think I can cut this semi-big. Move on. There we go. Might as well do the same on this side. You don't want to go any further. Okay. Fair enough. Estimate that. And back here, it's just the tire and the axle. Yeah, you got loose really quickly. Hoping I didn't have to glue you. What do you have there? All right. So this should be just as simple as that. These are those little Mickey Mouse ears. It's a new feature on Bamboo Studios, which is great. You don't want to do a whole brim. I have to drill these out. I like how tight it is in this. This one's a little looser. That's all right. So, not much. .75 is, well, this is 1.8, so this will give us what we need. I mean, it drilled out those, but I wasn't worried about them being so tight because they were getting glued. Usually it's just filament printers aren't good at getting exact hole sizes. There we go. That's still snug. And what I'll do is I'll take probably my soldering iron, or even a little lighter, might work. I've been dealing with this cold. I hadn't. Today's Sunday, Friday. I completely slept the whole day away. I woke up, had a cup of coffee, and I was pretty much toast. After that, I couldn't even eat breakfast and anything like that. And I ended up sleeping the whole 24 hours. Yesterday, I did some stuff. Hey, I feel a little bit better, but man. I'm liking this brush cleaner that I found. I think it might have been Marketplace. I'm not sure. It's got ridges on the bottom so you can run your brushes across and clean the gunk out of them. And even has a little bit of a rib there. And then you got your brush holder. And there's another cool one that has like where you can actually have your brushes sit like that. You have a couple that you're using, especially if you're like figure painting. Yeah, I think we're at the torch or lighter. The nice thing is we don't have to worry about blackening the tire because it's black. But we don't want to melt it either. There we go. Just want to soften it so we can make it a little button. That worked great. Beautiful. That's all we needed to do. I don't know if these are going to spin. Yeah. That's why I left them loose in here. Probably be good if I hit a little glue there and there. Or pushed it through and made it a pin. Really what I should have done is made it a pin on both sides. Did that mushrooming. I can do that later. Just recut pieces. But yeah, that would be the way to do is make the little rivet head on both sides. But we will let that sit because I think this is still, yeah, tacky. Okay, now we can do these frontish stair side wheels. Yeah, I think maybe later on I'll go back and make those pegs. Have the thing on both ends. This won't matter because it's pretty much glued on this end. A little smaller. Well, it's up in the air. Uh, Beautiful. Last one. Beautiful. They still spin. Sort of, kind of. Not as nice as the other ones. So, let's pull that one down a little bit more. I got rid of the lean. All right. All that's left. I mean, I'm going to do all these little add-ons. The screen I'm probably going to cut off and print something to have it set up high, like on a pedestal kind of thing on there. And then I'm going to have, different cases up in there. Have to cut these platforms off. Like I said, I'm going to leave this. I think this was actually scaled, needed to be scaled up even bigger. But it's supposed to hover, so I'm going to leave it. Maybe what I'll do is like I did on the other one is, well, the other one, the smaller one I did for the AT-AT diagram, I just cut this right off. And it probably could do the same. And then just make a peg and have it permanently being in one area. But I like that I can move it. So I don't know if I just paint this black and deal with it. But the rest of these I want to cut off. The hard thing is you're still going to have this thickness on the bottom. But unless I can find some files where it's not the Legion. This is the Star Wars Legion, so they have platforms because it's for the game. But here's the little box is. I thought I brought a, yeah, here we go. Oh, and they fit nice. So that'll give at least a little more footprint for those to sit on. We just have to attach that. But this is done. Okay, let's get these glued on there. Piece of tape. So I'm going to want to use epoxy again. Like I said, what we're going to probably do is I use it for the rust and the burnt stuff. So I think I should have one for the silver. That's it. Boy, we got dust everywhere. There we go. And what you kind of do to work with this thing, it's kind of go along the edges. Kind of do stuff in the seams. All the corners. It gives it that kind of worn, scratched up metal look. And you can do it all up on this floor. Ooh, I had some rust. Well, we're going to have some rust in some spots. Let me get a clean brush. That's okay. We can have a little rust in there. A little further than I... Actually, it looks pretty good. A little further than I wanted to go with it. Yeah, you just... This is what like I did with the Falcons hallway decks plates. Worked a little easier and nicer on photo etch. And just like with anything with pastels, sometimes you got to go a little heavy. Wasn't really planning on doing this, but we're kind of we're in it now. Anything else, you can just scrape dust off with a brush like this. And we might do some of that rust because I actually liked. Let's finish the silver first. And you can even put a clear coat over top of it to seal it, but I'm not going to really worry about it. Now I think we can grab some rust and take this brush again and blend it in. The stairs will definitely hit the people will be walking up and down. And, we're going to want to hit all this. It's really lightly. I don't want to really make this look dirty. Up here, I guess it would be because it's in the elements. If we're considering this one out like on a planet, which is kind of what I'm thinking. It's on a base on a planet. Otherwise, if it was in a ship, they usually have them hanging. Back to what we were originally here to do. All right. Get them on the best thing to do first to get it feet on here. There you go. All right. Now these guys are going to sit right there. There we go. We let that sit. Don't want to disturb it. All right. So now the next thing, let's put that off. Push this wire up. We don't need a whole lot. Then we pull the rest of this out. We're going to make this battery. It only has, like I said, 2 LEDs. It really doesn't have a lot of things going on, because you got fiber optics for the engines back here. So I need 1 LED for that. And then I have fiber optics for the guns. I was thinking of Wonderfest because I use these for like anything I need to power with 9 volts. That's not a whole lot of milliamps. I made these up. But we'll just take these off and I should get a soldering iron heated up. That would help. Just gotta unscrew these. Strip those and there we go. I can always get more of these. These are cheap. The red's gonna work better over these guys. All right, so we can screw in that one. We can get anything out of that. Like I said, it doesn't need much juice. Oh, hey. Oh, that didn't last very long. Or did I turn it off? Nope. Let me go get that new battery. But I did have flashing for a second. All right. Old Duracell. There we go. Now, like I said, this just being one green LED, which is probably just a white LED. I don't think it's a green one. It's just a white flasher that I just colored the fiber optics in the front green. But the one in the back is a red because I didn't care about the spillage if it made the interior red. Just tuck all that down in there. Don't have to be anything fancy. That's how the originals were. Just simple, simple. But then you see your rear ion engines running. Turn it, make it darker. There we go. And our front cannon's ablazing. And like I said, you get a little red spill when it's dark in there. But that's all they really did with the originals. And then eventually they did start putting like fake figures in there. But great. We have that. We can turn this off. Put it right down. Well, I put it in the front there, you'll be able to see it. I get it just to sit, just like that. Yeah. I don't care if people see it from the top. This is supposed to be like a studio scale where it wasn't all pretty on the insides, where you didn't see when these things were when the cameras were moving around these. They didn't focus on the interior. At least in New Hope, Empire they started to. Okay, we found out in the garage my felt. 20 millimeters. What, 5 millimeters? Yeah. So about 40 because I'd like to double it up. Mackerel. There's a bee thing. That you can buy to track the wasps and stuff. And I still have it hanging on the outside of my place, and it's banging against the wall. It's getting windy out there. Let's just cut in 4 centimeter spots. Hot glue is going to be the answer here. This is a neat little hot glue gun holder I and it holds your sticks. You can print it smaller for a smaller gun. I made one for somebody else I know that has a smaller hot glue gun. Okay, let's see if we can do this with hot glue. It'll be tricky because we don't want a lot. Kind of gotta have one ready to go. It's tricky to get a little bit of hot glue instead of a whole bunch. There we go. It's sticking. All right. A few more to go. That started using out then. And the last one. All this stringiness. There. The rest. Well, quite a mess here. All right. Now I get something soft for the TIE Fighter to sit on. Plus, I think it's going to give us a little more height. It'll sit on this better. Now we got the wire out of there too. Oh yeah. That is doing the trick now. She's resting completely on the hull of the ship. Check it out from the front. Yep. That is great. The ship is completely suspended now. That is great. So I am okay with that. I see that this battery pack has moved forward, and it should be back there. There we go. I need to give this thing a dusting too. There we are. That is it. I will show it. Get this put out there and show it what it looks like all together. Oh, there's cobwebs. There's all kinds of. I gotta really dust this thing off. Okay, let's get this up here and together. This one in first. Get these ladders back here. That will give us how far back I can push that. I did put the peg in here so it has something to hook to. Whoop. There goes that one. There, that gives me how far back I can actually push all this. This one's sitting like that. And I need to go get the TIE Fighter. All right. There's the stand. We just got to get this guy up on here without bouncing into anything. There we go. Push that in. She's sitting up there nicely. There we go. Got some jungle plants hanging down. Yeah, and then this can always be, for say someone wants to work somewhere on the front of the TIE Fighter. Eventually, hopefully, I'll get a bigger shelf to put this on and I can have things around it. I want to get a pilot guy, and there's other stuff I'm going to do back there. But this at least gives us a good idea. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Much better than just sitting there on its wings. Now we got at least a purpose of why it's sitting down on the ground. Yeah, very simple. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description on where you're to find this, but I think it was 3D Model A or something. I forget what the guy's business is called. But it's the same guy that did the Sandcrawler, which we got to finish. But I hope you enjoyed this. It was just a quick little thing I wanted to show you while I'm taking a little break from the Galaxy class starships. Sometimes I just need a break when I'm working on stuff like that long, and things have just been hectic. And Now it looks like I'm going to have to deal with some cancer treatments, and with the holidays, I just haven't wanted to get dug into that yet until things settle down a little bit. But I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.